All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's Chicago Junction, being the railroad program that is about everything that is railroading. Here's our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Network, as well as being the chief electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Thank you, Bri. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack-O-Lantern FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Thursday, October the 30th, the year 2014. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Brian.
And now, for our host with the most, our head conductor, Mr. Jack Red Ryan.
The question is the most what? Highest
I
IQ?
will never tell.
Highest IQ, body weight, what? Hat size?
Hey, I just make the statement.
I know. How's your golf game?
A lot of hooks and slices.
I tried that a couple of times, but I can never get the ball through the windmill on the last hole. Ta-da.
Yep. Da-dum-dum.
Good evening, everybody, and a good day or whatever time it is when you're listening to this pre-recorded program. It is a beautiful October evening on the 28th, and this month is rapidly closing out. Of course, it'll be Halloween, the Eve of All Hallows, and trick-or-treat night on Friday. And, of course, the next couple of days, it'll be November, which means we got a couple of birthdays coming up. Dave DeRushka, Saturday, Day of the Dead. Yours truly, Sunday. Me, I'm on All Souls Day, you're All Saints Day. So, anyway, by the way, does anyone know how many birthdays the average person has in their lifetime?
All of them.
None of them. Just one. Just one birthday, you know. Okay.
I guess I should say happy birthday to us. 2 weeks ago marked the first time that we did a broadcast of Chicago Junction.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I thought it was September, wasn't it?
No, it was October.
Was it? Well, happy birthday to us. We made it this far.
Yes, it is. And the engine still exists.
Okay, we're getting a few questions here. We're kind of light tonight. Dave DeRushka, to my right. And your background, your affiliations, your experience, and
retired locomotive engineer with many railroads.
And you're a historian?
Oh, I'm a historian, yes. I have a blog about Chicago rail history.
And you do some computer artwork too, is it?
Oh, yeah, I do artwork. I do all kinds of things. Jack of all trades.
Well, listen, get your plug in now when you can, while whoever's listening to us. And Brian Valou?
That is correct. I'm also a retired engineer, retired Navy chief, and still going strong, working with the different historical societies, even with the Garden Railroad Club I belong to. I write a historical section called Legacy Along the Right-of-Way.
You write that?
Yeah, I write that.
For the magazine?
Well, it's our newsletter. And like last month's issue was about actually the new Highline Park in New York City that was made on the old elevated line on the west side of Manhattan. And the legends that came from it, and I talked about the Railway of Death was 10th Avenue, but it was home to the original urban cowboy. New York Central hired riders to walk in front of the locomotives with flags to let them know the train's coming, but it gave birth to a new type of locomotive where they had to shroud all the moving parts so it didn't frighten the horses or the pedestrians.
So it'd be like some kind of cushion to quiet it down, or what?
Well, it just kept all the machinery covered.
It was a shroud.
Okay.
Yeah, basically a show.
A veil. A veil, right?
If you want, if you'd like to see what one looks like, watch Thomas the Tank Engine and his friend Toby. Toby is a steam dummy, or a steam tram, as they call it.
I watch that almost every day with the grandsons now. And you know what? I think we enjoy that. It's very well done program. It always has a little moral to it, a little lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very attractive, and the characters, the anthropomorphic engines, it's anthropomorphic. So that's the 6-bit word of the day. Yes. Anyway, we get a few questions here. We had a Mr. R. McDonald from Des Plaines at our website wanted to know what our theme song was, and the name of it is Beyond the Blue Horizon, from a 1930-31 film, I think it was, with Jeanette MacDonald. So it was a musical, and the music starts up as an engine, as it's firing up. You can kind of tell it goes into the, So that's the answer to that question, Mr. McDonald. Another folk, anyone wants to would like to participate, call us sometime. You have something to talk about. We don't have a call in yet directly because we're not broadcasting live. But if you will go to our WindyCityHometown.com, that's our website for the company, for the production, and you can go to info@WindyCityHometown.com, and you can send us an email, and we can either contact you, or we can leave a phone number or whatever like that. So that would be good, wouldn't you say? We had some more tonight. We're traveling light because 3 of our fellows just couldn't make it because Kevin Barry, Tom McKenna, and Doug Kenyuk. Doug was the last minute; he had an emergency, so you're stuck with us, folks. But we're enthusiastic. We're small but enthusiastic, right?
Yes.
Right, gang?
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
Right.
Hoorah!
Okay. Anybody got anything on they want to talk about yet?
Well, I'll give to experience.
You defer.
Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff. Everybody, I'm sure, has heard about the Metra fare increase.
Mm-hmm.
Metra plans on increasing fares by 10.8% over, I guess it's a 10-year period. And they've been hinting that the money is going to be spent on getting new equipment because their rolling stock and locomotives are.
We guarantee it'll be spent.
Yeah,
it's already spent probably.
They're pretty worn out. You know, they've I don't know what this had, like the second or third rebuild on their F-40 locomotives. They're supposedly rebuilding 1 or 2 of the F-40Cs. Yep, and I guess they're due for rebuild on the newer locomotives, the Winnebagos. I'm not sure about the.
Not the H-36.
No, but Tribune had I don't know if it was an editorial it was an editorial about how the money only 20% of that money is going to go for new trains, and they were encouraging people to go to the public hearings to ask questions of Metra about why they're asking for so much money and so little of it is going towards equipment, improving service. So that was one of the things. The Englewood flyover is done and in business. Englewood flyover was a project where a bridge was built over the freight main tracks. I guess would be the Norfolk Southern tracks.
Yeah, the Norfolk Southern, the old Pennsylvania, New York Central.
Yeah.
Where's that now?
Englewood.
Okay, like around LaSalle Street, or what is that one now?
I'm trying to think of what it's right. It's right by the Dan Ryan Expressway.
East of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's finally in service, and so now the Metra trains are going over the freight tracks. Also, Metra opened new platforms at Joliet Station where they no longer are using the actual Joliet Station. That has been taken over by the city of Joliet completely, and they're going to use it as an event center. so there are new platforms there. The trains no longer have to cross over the BNSF freight tracks to load, which I guess was a problem. So that's, I think that's kind of it for the Chicago stuff. I have a question, and I'm going to throw this out to everybody. Supposedly, I've got an article here from 2007 about a railroad museum in Manly, Iowa. You know anything about that? It was supposedly a Manly Junction Railroad Museum, a newly formed not-for-profit corporation affiliated with the Iowa Northern Railway, has plans to build a $10 million railroad museum in or near Manly. The corporation announced the plans in conjunction with the purchase of 2 former Rock Island passenger locomotives that will be restored and housed at the museum. Both locomotives, an E6 number 630 from the 1930s and an E8 number 652 from the 1950s, are the 2 locomotives that were supposedly purchased by the president of the Northern Railway, Dan Sabin. So I found this and I know nothing about it. I don't know if they ever purchased locomotives, if they're in the process of restoring them.
No, the locomotives were purchased. They were originally owned by a museum in Kansas,
Right.
in Baldwin, Kansas. And because I remember seeing the E6 down there. And somehow it's slipped between the cracks. Because that would have been a nice locomotive to send to that Streamliner fair.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what the status of those are. Like I say, this is a 2007 article, and I did an internet search on that today, and really couldn't find anything else about it. It was posted on the Black Hawk National Railway Historical website as that they had purchased locomotives, but I don't really know any more information about it. There's old 470 in Ellsworth, Maine Central Locomotive 470, one of a set of 2 locomotives built in Schenectady, was purchased by a group called the New England Steam Corporation from the town of Waterville. I guess it was sitting in the town of Waterville, and that's supposedly being moved and restored to live steam. I've got a really nifty brochure here. Anybody want to look at it? And let's see.
Too bad we don't have TV here, folks.
Yeah, right. Let's see. There was something else that. Oh yeah, here's a Stillwater says the Zephyr locomotive's a nuisance and must be moved. When photos of people perched precariously atop the Minnesota Zephyr dinner train locomotives surfaced on social media after Stillwater's 4th of July fireworks display, city officials decided something had to be done. I'm not sure where Stillwater is. You know where Stillwater is? Kansas, maybe?
We still got water in our basement.
Is it still?
I hope so.
They ordered that the 2 iconic locomotives must be removed by September the 29th. If they are not moved, the city will hire somebody to do the work and add the cost to the owner.
Oh, brother.
Property tax bill. Locomotives have become a public nuisance. The owner appealed the order. He doesn't understand it. Those locomotives have been sitting basically within feet of each other for 27 years, and it's certainly okay for them to be there when I spent about $56 million in goods and services over 25 years and paid almost $3 million in property taxes. Now they're suggesting it's a nuisance, and they're calling them abandoned locomotives.
They're not blocking the highway or anything, are they? Or?
No, I guess they were concerned that people were climbing on top of them, and it could pose a
Like an abandoned building, it draws some unusual clientele. So.
The owner said the locomotives are being sold to Heritage Rail Leasing in Alamos, Colorado, the same company that bought the 6 dinner cars, and the cars were moved in March of 2013. So maybe this is in Florida. Yeah, it lives in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Gonna check where Stillwater is.
No, Stillwater, Florida, yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
There's a Sweetwater, Texas. All kinds of water.
It says Pardo ran a Zephyr dinner train out of Stillwater for more than 20 years before selling the train corridor to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. So perhaps it's Stillwater, Minnesota.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Well, I'll
okay, I know the two locomotives we're talking about, too. They're F7s.
Yeah.
We have a caller. Hello, caller. Are you there? Got some questions, I hope. Hello. No? Hello.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Who would this be, Shannon?
Yes.
Shannon Braun
Brown?
from the Lincoln Funeral Train.
Correct.
And sitting with me are my associates, Dave DeRushka. Say hello, Dave.
Hello.
And the fellow who got us all together here, Brian Valou. You met him?
Yep. Hi, Brian.
How you doing, Shannon? Good to hear
I'm
from you
doing well.
again.
Yeah, same here.
So, would you want to let us know about this Lincoln Funeral Train, what it's all about? And we've got plenty of time to talk tonight.
Sure. Well, a fellow over in Elgin named Dave Clokey built an 1860s steam locomotive replica called the Leviathan. He finished Leviathan in 1999. I'm sorry, in 2009. Started in 1999. And during the course of building the locomotive, which was a hobby for Dave, he decided he wanted to pay tribute to his hero, Abraham Lincoln, by building a replica of Lincoln's funeral coach, the coach that actually took Lincoln's body home from Washington to Springfield after the assassination. And so he's been hard at work on that for a few years now, and we're in the process of finishing that in time to replicate the journey from Washington back to Springfield. So it's an enormous undertaking, but it's coming along quite nicely.
So this would be next year, around April sometime? Or?
Correct. Yep. We're looking at April 21st is when the train originally left Washington to start its journey. So we're hoping to replicate that and leave Washington on April 21st in 2015. And we're looking for sponsors to help us to make that trip, because as you can imagine, it's quite a logistical feat to move everything around and all of the people and all of the equipment that we have to move, and it's a long way from Elgin to Washington. But that's the plan right now, and then we hope to retrace the route as closely as we can, taking this replica of Lincoln's entire funeral train from Washington all the way back to Springfield, and we would arrive in Springfield on May the 2nd.
Okay. How did you get involved with this? Are you a historian, or?
I'm an amateur historian. I'm a lifelong admirer of Lincoln, sort of the same as Dave in that respect. A healthy interest in Lincoln, and I'm also have a background in media relations and public relations. So when I was actually doing a little research a few years ago, trying to figure out what happened to Lincoln's original funeral car, because it occurred to me one day that I didn't know what had happened to it. And in the process of doing some of that research, I learned about this group, the Historic Railroad Equipment Association, and the 2015 Lincoln Funeral Train. And I contacted Dave and the group, and I said if I can be of assistance, I'd love to do so. And I've been with them ever since.
Aha! That's how I got that mailing from them. I couldn't figure out who got my name. Very good, thank you. Keep going now. Come on.
Yeah, Dave's also. It's worth noting that he didn't really come into this project with an interest in railroads. You know, he wasn't someone who was a model railroader. There are a lot of those folks out there, but that wasn't really his hobby. He's a master mechanic by trade, and he spent over 4 decades in heavy equipment and construction demolition equipment, and that's his background. But again, he's also a big admirer of Lincoln, and he decided, he was watching a television documentary about Lincoln, and the focus was sort of on Lincoln and the railroads, and the Railroad Act that Lincoln signed in 1862 and so forth. And so they're showing a lot of the Model 440 steam locomotives on this program, and Dave really became enamored with the 440 and the looks of it, and he just, being a kind of a gearhead and liking machinery in general, he said, boy, that's a beautiful machine. I would love to own one of those. And he started looking for ones that might be available to buy. He just simply wanted to have one, to own one. And what he found was there weren't any available to purchase. They were in museums, or they were in private hands, or they just not a lot of them around anymore. And in the process of looking for all of that, he realized that there was a replica steam locomotive built by the National Park Service in, I believe, the 1970s, and the blueprints for that were available. And so he shifted his focus from wanting to buy one to building one. And so he got the blueprints and started building it. It took him 10 years to build it, and Leviathan is a beautiful, beautiful machine. It's a full-scale, fully operational 440 steam locomotive. And in the process of building Leviathan, he was contacted by an organization in Pennsylvania. It's a museum called Steam into History, and they had become aware of what he was doing, and they said, we're really intrigued by this. Would you be interested in building another 440 for us? So they commissioned him to build a second 440, and he completed that one in just 3 years. 3 years and a month, actually.
Practice makes perfect. Any questions, guys? Any, please?
No.
That was the York you were talking about, correct?
That's correct. The York 17. Yep.
So, right as of now, I guess a lot of logistics are part of it now, or as you say, the financial part is the biggest thing.
Yeah, we're still looking for sponsors, as I said, to help with the trip over to D.C., certainly, and to sponsor the trip. We give quite a bit of recognition to our sponsors, both through our online channels as well as on the trucks themselves and in any printed materials that we have, advertising and so forth. And so anyone who would want to sponsor part of the trip is, we're certainly still looking for individuals and or companies that would want to do that. And we'll have the car completed in time to go to Springfield without question, but we'd love to have it done a little sooner than that and get into Washington a little bit sooner. They've got some events going on earlier in April that we'd love to be a part of, and if we could get the sponsorship to do that, we would love to do that.
Any other questions? I got one. Will this be? This is going to. You're doing the best to replicate the trip. Will it be people in the period costume, too, on the train, or?
Yes, there will be, and we've gotten a tremendous response from so many Civil War reenactment groups. It's been wonderful, and we are still hearing from new ones every couple of days that are learning about this and wanting to become part of it. But there was an honor guard that traveled with Lincoln's body throughout the trip, and so we have different units in different parts of the country that, as we are close to their region, they want to replicate that. So we will certainly have that honor guard as far as the reenactors with us, as well as people in period costume. Now, those people would not be part of our group. They would be coming from the communities in which we're going to be visiting. But there's been a good response from people who would like to be out in period costume and replicate this solemn event as best they can.
Yeah, and in conjunction with, she was talking about the sponsorship, people can go to the website and make personal donations themselves also.
Absolutely, yes. They can go to the 2015 LincolnFuneralTrain.com, and there are a couple of places there on the website where they can make donations. Absolutely. Donations are all tax deductible, and there are no government monies involved with this at all. There are no grants received. There's no kind of government funding for this. This has all been Dave Pokey's money and individuals providing donations. So things like the wood. I know right now they're working on the roof of the funeral car and putting the wood on the roof, and a lot of that material was donated. Not all of it, but a fair bit of it had been donated to us, and a lot of the labor hours that are going into this are volunteer hours as well. So it's truly a project, to use Lincoln's words here, but of the people, by the people, for the people. It's an outstanding project that is like nothing else that's going to be part of this 150th commemoration next year.
Now, It strikes me this would be something for the History Channel to do even a special on it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have reached out to them, and we have not yet heard, whether they are planning to follow us or to document this at all, but we have reached out to the History Channel and a few other places, and we'd certainly love to have them.
And it's hard to imagine Lincoln without a grant. I'm sorry. That was terrible, wasn't it? Keep your daytime job, Ryan. Daytime job.
How's your corporate fundraising? How's that going?
We have some corporate backers. We have Fisher Nuts is on board with us, pun intended, but they have been for since the inception of this project, and they're wonderful to work with. We've also got the Henry Rifle Company has come on board, and they've been generous as well in what they've donated for us, including one of the Abraham Lincoln Golden Boy rifles for a fundraiser that we had not long ago. So, but we've got a couple others. We've got some local sponsorship, Craft Metal Spinning, and Columbia Craft out of the Elgin area is a sponsor as well. And again, it's just a matter of raising awareness, and everywhere we go, people are very excited about this. I know Springfield in particular is getting really excited. They're doing some of their own commemorations as well, but there are folks there in that area that are really excited. We've got a lot of interest out of Washington, which is why we would love to be there early in April for some of those other events. And so awareness is picking up, but we need funding to come along with that. So.
Okay. Very, very interesting project. Wish you all the luck. And let's hear that website again.
Yes, it's the 2015 LincolnFuneralTrain.com. Mm-hmm. And we also have a Facebook page, which is just 2015 Lincoln Funeral Train. Mm-hmm. And we're on Twitter at 2015 Lincoln.
Very good. Now, from a previous conversation, we have determined that you were living in Bloomington, Indiana, or right around there?
That's correct, right outside Bloomington. Mm-hmm.
Indiana University?
Yes.
And I mentioned before that film from a few years back, Breaking Away, mm-hmm. was filmed there with what a beautiful place and what a great story that was, and a great... but we digress. Shannon Brown, the Lincoln 2015 Funeral Train?
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Would like to see you in the studio, but I guess it wouldn't have been. The phone was just as good tonight. Next time, okay? Oh,
okay,
before you go, would there be any ideas for any expositions, or after the?
Yes, we have got interest from many cities. It's 24, actually probably a little over that now. Communities that want us to come back once we leave Springfield. We'll be in Springfield from May 2nd to the 5th, and once that event is finished, those communities have asked us to come back, and they're all over. They're scattered everywhere. We've even got Middle Tennessee asking for us, and places up on the East Coast, and everywhere in between. And so we will be getting to those communities and sort of making a circuit, if you will, making a tour with the entire train next year. So any communities that would want us to visit and stay for a while and a few days and let especially the school kids come out and see us. Dave Clokey is very, very much a proponent of education and getting the kids interested in all of this living history. They can certainly contact us via the website as well.
We have another question, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just curious what percentage of the trip is going to be done by rail?
Well, right now it looks like most of the trip is going to be made over the road. The equipment travels on special trailers, special lowboy trailers for the most part. And most of the trip, I'm guessing at least 90% of the trip would have to be made over the road as opposed to rail. There's an analogy that we like to use. We say that, putting our 1860s era steam locomotive replica on modern day rail lines is sort of like taking a horse and buggy out on the interstate. That's kind of what it would be like as far as trying to compete with the modern traffic that's out there. And certainly the railroads have important schedules to keep, and we understand that. So it's difficult logistically to get our replica on the lines in a lot of places, and in some places they're not there anymore either. The original lines that Lincoln's train traveled over are long gone in a lot of places. So I would say at least 90% of it will be over the road. However, we will be going through all of the communities that held formal funerals for President Lincoln in 1865. So,
All right, thank you.
All right. One more time. Let's hear your website one more time.
yes, it is the 2015 LincolnFuneralTrain.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Come back soon.
All right, thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care, Shannon.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, very good. That's something I didn't know anything about really until you mentioned. I think you mentioned the reconstruction some time ago, Brian. But it's a real good connection with history. And now we're going to pause for a short break. Don't go away. Don't touch the dial. Good. She had plenty to say.
You are listening to Chicago Junction on Jack O' Lantern FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Thursday, October the 30th, the year 2014. And now, back to Chicago Junction and our panel.
We're not on yet, are we? There we are. We back? Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Now, where were we? Now, Brian, you got anything on the plate today? Can we talk about
Well, yeah. We can start off. We've got a big train show coming up in 2 weeks on the 8th and 9th of November up in at the Milwaukee Fairgrounds.
Okay.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They have what they call Train Fest. It's one of the largest actual train shows in the Midwest, at least. Maybe more. We take over one of the buildings. They're actually opening up a second building this year, and all the layouts from Wisconsin are going to be in it. They've invited several more layouts to go up there. I've been going up there for 10 years with the Midwest Rails Group, and the LGB Club of Chicago is been invited to come up, and they're going to set up their floor display. They're a G-gauge layout also. But apparently there's supposed to be a circular track of 1.5-inch scale, or 7.5-inch gauge, with battery-operated locomotives.
Okay.
To give rides. So, but yeah, it'll be Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Now, it's in Milwaukee, right in Milwaukee?
Well, actually, West Dallas is where the State Fair Park is located.
Now, if anyone, people who don't get around much, you can get to Milwaukee in almost no time at all. Was it not even 90 minutes probably?
Yeah, 90 minutes you're there.
From the Chicago area. And it's a beautiful place to visit. And
it's got some good restaurants.
Oh, do they ever?
Even along the road going up, they got a place called Apple Holler.
Who?
Apple Holler.
Oh, Apple Holler?
Apple Holler. And makes excellent chicken pot pie.
Oh, my favorite fruit. Anyway, also, a few places make the beer in Wisconsin, no? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I understand that's why a lot of German immigrants even went there because of the waters.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Casablanca.
An aside about the 8th, the Illinois Rail Museum is having something called the Snowflake Special, where they are using, they're doing a, what would you call it, tour. They're getting a train set of old electric district MU cars.
Right.
And it's a fundraiser to not purchase, but to pay for shipping and track storage space for 2 MUs. I believe that Metro is I think they're donating them.
Now, Illinois Railway Museum in Union?
Yeah.
That's the one, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to be attending that.
On when?
The 8th, November.
Now, what about the 9th?
Can't tell you about the 9th. You have to take a regular train on the 9th.
Well, let's see. Well, on the 8th, I'm going to be working with the Boy Scouts for Railroading Merit Badge, doing Operation Lifesaver. And so I'll be able to go up on Friday to set up the layout. But on Sunday, when it's time to take it down, I've made a promise to work for a gentleman who makes some wonderful lubricant, XL lubricants. And he's going to be having a booth up there, so I got to man his tables at the DuPage County Fair, at the train show at the DuPage County Fairgrounds.
Gee, funny you should mention.
Yes.
We should be hearing
On
shortly.
on the 9th. Well, I tell you, it's a fun, big filled weekend.
Yeah. Anything else we got in there?
Oh, geez, we've got a lot of stuff. We got holiday stuff coming up.
Yes, we do.
Brookfield Zoo.
Brookfield Zoo.
And on that note,
Go ahead.
well, they
know where
got
that-
Brookfield Zoo
Yeah.
starting December 6th.
Mhm.
The 6th and 7th, 13th, 14th, 20th, 21st, and then the 26th through the 31st have holiday train magic
Oh.
with their little festival lights that they do.
Mhm.
The layout's put up by the, it's in the evening starting at 4 to 8:30 p.m.
Hmm.
That'll be starting that. We'll probably mention it more in our program next month.
Next time.
Morton Arboretum is going to start in January. Chicago Botanic Garden, they shut down their layout this last weekend, and we're busy taking up everything. And
They're not
within
open for the holidays?
we will be starting to put together the Winter Wonderland layout,
Okay.
which will be indoors.
Mhm.
And see, the outdoor layout, you get a tour of the United States with our structures. The one, the Winter Wonderland, it's just all different spots around Chicago.
Okay.
Heston Steam Museum in LaPorte, Indiana. I'll be running the Candy Cane Express the first 2 weekends of December.
Mhm.
The kids will be able to come out and meet Santa.
Mhm.
Get hot chocolate, cookies, and on both the 6th, 7th, and 13th and 14th. If you bring an unpackaged toy and put it in the box for Toys for Tots, they work with the Marine Corps on this.
Right.
Very big, and which is another excellent project. And in Waterman, Illinois, there's a place called the Waterman and Western Railroad, and they have a holiday lights train. Over 250,000 lights and figures. They start on November 29th, and starting on December 5th, Santa arrives. So from the 5th, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in December, the kids will be able to meet and talk to Santa Claus, and they get free hot chocolate and popcorn. And that's just some of the things going on.
And the Fox River Trolley Museum is having their Polar Express Saturday, December 6th, 13th, 20th, and Sunday, December 7th, 14th, and 21st.
I think they're sold out, aren't they?
I don't know.
No.
They usually are by this time.
Yeah, in summer they're sold out.
Yeah.
I understand. Our guys are a little too young yet to go, so, but they
Well,
won't be.
But the layouts in the train that I talked about, the Waterman Westerns in Waterman, Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and if they can get all the information at beatstrain.com.
Okay.
And they got a great fudge maker there.
Does your associates at the Heston Steam Museum, do they have something holiday also?
I just talked to you, the Candy Cane Express.
Oh, that's there. Did I miss that?
Yes, you did.
I must have missed the name.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I'm having one of these senior moments. Yeah.
That's it. Just keep bragging how old you are. Yes.
I'll be 68 Sunday, folks, but I don't feel a day over 19. It might be in dog years or something, which is, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's hard to believe in my seventh decade of life I've lasted this long.
Well, I've made it past my 4th decade, and I'm amazed I'm still here.
Only the good die young.
Yes. And you never claimed I was good, so
Right.
you know.
But anywho, trying to think. I thought I had something else. We probably have another caller coming along here shortly.
Yeah, that's what your notice said.
Well,
also, the thing about the train museum, if some people want to, are good with their hands and working with wood and such, they can come out to Dave Clokey's place off of Spalding Road and lend a hand. Sand some boards.
there are probably a lot of people out there, guys, who would love to get involved in something if they knew about it like that. We just that's part of our mission here is to get the word out about what's going on. And
yeah, I mean the Lincoln the car is shaping up beautifully, and they've got a couple of craftsmen giving a little bit of their time, and some of the molding that they're making and such. Starting the windows frames are starting to go in, and some of the molding on the car. I mean, it's going to be beautiful when it's finished.
How long do they project will it be done?
Well, most of the car is sheathed, at least a coating on it, and they're starting. Hopefully, we'll be finished by February.
February. Oh, it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah.
That is correct.
You know what's great about that? You're over the hump with the winter. If it was anything like last winter, we knew we had a day it was colder in Chicago than it was at the South Pole.
That's what we heard.
Of course, it was summer down there. So
Yeah.
Well,
what do you got a caller, John?
Go ahead.
Hello. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Randy Bachman?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Do you know everybody here?
I don't know. Who's there?
Brian Valou?
Hey, Randy.
Palushka,
Hi.
Hi.
and me. And our engineer and boss, John DeVita, were here. Now, we are calling about your Great Midwest Train Show?
Yes.
We want to know all about it here. Can you
Okay.
tell us?
Sure. Well, I think most of you are probably already somewhat familiar with the show, right? It's been running since 1972 at the DuPage County Fairgrounds.
Okay. It's annual
And-
or what? An annual show or what?
No, it's every month,
Oh.
except for July. They run the county fair out there in July.
Damn.
Too many cow patties.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. You get a break there anyway in the summer, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you have this is all model train show and any other thing memorabilia or
Oh yeah, yeah. You'll find railroad paper there, railroadiana, china, timetables, that type of thing. But the overall majority of the show is model trains. It started out as kind of your traditional swap meet for model trains, and the thing that's so unique about it is that it's just such a large show, and the fact that it runs monthly, it really makes it unique. There really is no other show like it. So it's it's definitely a different kind of thing.
so it's open to the public, obviously. Is there an admission to come in or?
Yes, $7 for adults, and kids under 12 are free. We also have a spouse's free coupon where you can bring the spouse with the coupon. You just sign up for that at the website, which you can access through trainshow.com.
So this year you have how many shows left? 2 or 3? 2. It must be 2. Right?
2 more. Yeah, we've got November and December.
Yeah, we're kind of late in October to be talking about that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, November what?
November 9th.
And December?
I think I'd have that offhand here.
Before Christmas, right?
Yeah, in before Christmas, yes. It's the second weekend in December.
Okay. We'll know what our
December 14th.
December 14th,
Oh,
yeah.
very good. Okay, so DuPage County Fairgrounds, and you have how many regular vendors you suppose you have there?
The average is over 200, and they come from all over the Midwest. And we get people from around the country, too, kind of make special trips on occasion as well. But it's we have a pretty good number of regulars, but then we get at every show we're averaging now about 6 or 7 brand new people bringing stuff out of their basement, people who inherit collections, that type of thing.
Well, it's been my experience is just going to a show like this is such an eye opener, such an education in itself. That part is even worth just going for.
Oh, yeah, certainly. If if your only experience is with maybe a Lionel train set or an HO scale train set from the 70s, or most of us kind of started with, it really does show you what that there is so much available in this hobby. I've been doing shows since the mid-'80s, and there are still things that I learn at every show that are out there. We had a guy a few months ago who brought in some of the very early 1900s Lionel models, and it was just very interesting to see how far things have come since then, and and see things that I never knew existed.
Okay. Anybody else questions or?
No, I just want to say that Randy is a hell of an organizer.
Yeah.
He's done several different shows. World's Greatest Hobby, I believe.
Yes, we. Mm-hmm.
And the iHobby Show just recently held at the beginning of the month.
Which one?
The iHobby Show.
Yes, up at the Schaumburg Convention Center.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's, you have a website then you can get all this information from? Or?
Yeah, trainshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
And on that, that's basically a portal to a lot of the other websites. But we do, our organization does about 80 shows a year all around the country. Our main goal, our main purpose is to promote the hobby of model railroading. It used to be in the old days, you'd go to the department store and you'd see a setup. Every kid had a Lionel train set or American Flyer. Obviously, that doesn't happen like it used to. So what we do is we take a lot of our shows around the country and promote the hobby, try to get new people into it. For a lot of people, it's their first exposure to the hobby. So we try to make every one of our events kind of kind of present the hobby in its best light. Try to have as much there as we can, and that's kind of what we do with the different types of shows that we run.
What you just said put me to mind of that Robert Mitchum film, A Holiday Affair, with the train set and the department store and real Norman Rockwell stuff there.
Yes. You kind of broke up there.
So anyway, I hope everyone will. Now, being one more question. Being local now, do you have a phone number they can reach your organization at or the show?
Yes, absolutely. 630-290-1962.
290 and 1962. What a great year that was.
Yes.
It's always easy to remember when stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Well, thanks for calling. Anybody have other questions before we leave? Or I think you're pretty much self-explanatory. You're local and you're very successful. And
I'll see him on the 9th.
Yeah. And it's 11 times a year, so can't go wrong there. Thanks. Come again, will you?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Anything else on the plate there we were talking about before? You must have something.
I got a couple upcoming meetings, different organizations.
That's good.
Blackhawk Chapter, National Railway Historical Society, November the 7th, which is a Friday, 7:30 to 10 p.m. Gladys Fox Museum, southwest corner of 9th and Washington in Lockport, Illinois. Admission is free. The 20th Century Railroad Club meets 7 to 10 p.m. November the 12th, which is a Wednesday. Electricians Union Hall, 600 West Washington Boulevard in Chicago, free. Railway and Locomotive Historical Society Chicago Chapter meeting, November the 14th, which is a Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. The Chicago Temple, 77 West Washington Street, 3rd floor, southeast corner of Washington and Clark in Chicago. And they do have a dinner get-together at 6 o'clock prior to that.
Kitty Corner from City Hall County Building.
Yeah, right. Then the Chicago chapter of the National Railway Historical Society meets on November the 14th, same night as the RLHS, 8 to 10 p.m., Lincoln Center, 935 Maple Avenue in Downers Grove. Free admission, Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago meets 7:30 to 9:30 p.m., November the 21st. That's a Friday. Chicago Union Station, 500 West Jackson Boulevard, room 107A. Free admission. And the last but not least, the Chicago Electric Rail Fans Association meets from 7 to 9 p.m., November the 28th. Friday, University Center, 525 South State Street, second floor. Non-member admission is $5. And all these will be posted on our Facebook page. And if there is any information as far as what the meetings are, I will post that as well.
Okay. How do we get to our Facebook page for those who don't know?
Go on Facebook and look up Chicago Junction. It's real easy.
Oh, hey, that clever, these Americans. Huh?
And then we have a SWAT meet taking place Sunday, November the 23rd in Michigan City, Indiana. Community Service Center, 301 East 8th Street. And that's SWAT meet buy sell, the Duneland Model Railroad Club. Admission, adults $3, youth 6 to 13 $1, children under 5 free.
That just goes to show you that you live more cheaply in Indiana. Yeah, when you mentioned Michigan City, kind of reminds me of how the title came about. My grandfather was a switchman for the Chicago Junction Railroad, as was my Uncle John, my dad's older brother, and his son Jack also worked for the same company. So we would, every year, they had their picnic in July, I think it was, or August, early August, one of the two, and they would charter a train for the employees and would leave from around LaSalle Street there in what you mentioned before, the, was it where Central Pennsylvania is? The tracks, we mentioned those earlier?
Well, the LaSalle Street Station.
Around 63rd? Around 63rd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We leave from there, go down to Michigan City for the day, to the beautiful Washington Park. I mean, we all went. We would pay. My dad would pay. My mom would get passes for people who weren't going. My dad always insisted on paying, but that was the Ryan family paying. All the cousins were down there. And Washington Park in Michigan City was just so beautiful. Beautiful, most beautiful beach you want to see. You ever been there? And then they had the amusement park, the picnic area, the zoo, and they had a tower that you'd go out, climb up to, and it was an observation point. It was just a great place for the family to spend the day. And by the time you're going home in the evening, you were pretty well tuckered out. You know, you've been swimming, you've been picnicking, you've been to the zoo and all these rides and everything else. And ironically, I did a little pro wrestling in my day, and the first match I ever had was right in Washington Park on Labor Day weekend in 1970. So that, anyway, that's pretty boring to you folks, but we digress. Anything else now?
No.
Nothing?
Not for me.
Okay, what else? What we can rehash? Or?
Well, this be in October.
Yes.
Concerning the Lincoln funeral train. Mm-hmm. It is said that in the following years, that if you stand along the route that the train had passed at the time it passes, mm-hmm. particularly across New York State when going like from Albany to Buffalo, that people say a cold chill comes. And even if there's a regular train on the tracks, a Lincoln funeral train, a shadow train will pass over it and actually block out the noise. And you could actually see, they've seen soldiers standing in the car, guarding the coffin. And when the whole specter passes, they look at their watch and they've lost 15 minutes.
Now, this is documented by more than one person.
Yes.
How often does this happen? Every year? Or?
Every year.
Every year in what?
Usually, where the night runs were. So New York was a good one, like going from Albany to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. But any along the route, and the way the route is, we happen to have a chart of the major cities that it stops in. Starting in Washington, D.C., it goes up to Baltimore, and then from Baltimore to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. then over to Philadelphia, then to New York City. New York City goes to Albany,
Capital.
and then goes to Buffalo. Next stop will be Cleveland, Columbus, then to Indianapolis, back up to Chicago, and then down to Springfield.
Well, that'll be the same route that this recreation.
Yeah,
will
the
take.
recreation, we're going to follow the same route.
Good.
What, the one thing that she didn't say is usually when we get to some of the major cities, we'll basically be offloading the trailers and maybe a mile out and it'll steam in
So they'll,
to show the train coming
that's okay.
into town.
That's okay. We have to do that, right?
Yes,
These days, as the lady said earlier, a lot of those don't exist anymore.
that
Probably
is
most
true.
of them, yeah, right?
Well, I know around Harrisburg area they still exist.
The same ones.
Yes, tracks.
Well, that's progress for you. I know there were some people around that they would probably tear down the Taj Mahal and build a shopping center if they consider it progress. We lost a lot of architecture in Chicago that way.
Yes.
I know that.
Well, the architecture movement didn't get really started until they decided to tear down the Pennsylvania station in New York in 1962.
Did they tear it down?
Yes, they did. And they put up Madison Square Gardens.
Oh, that's what the new Madison Square, huh? That's about the fifth.
And now they're talking about tearing down Madison Square Garden and putting a train station back.
Yes, they are.
Oh.
And they want to combine it with the post office.
Yeah.
I don't know, folks. I don't know. It gets crazier and crazier, doesn't
Well, it's
it?
just like Union Station. They demolished the concourse for Union Station, and now one of the major plans the city of Chicago is discussing is reestablishing a better traffic pattern for Union Station, including the possibility of demolishing the office building that they built on top of the concourse and putting a new concourse in.
Well, knowing the way municipal governments, and ours in particular, operate, out at Midway Airport, just north of Midway on 55th there was a building, I don't know what it was before. Well, the city they decided this is going to be for the police detail. They went in, they gutted it, put in all, it was a one-story. All new, whether it was drywall or whatever, all decoration, all wired. It had the private line, the PAX line, private extension we have. It had the phones. It had, I don't know what else it had in there. I bet they weren't there a year and a half, and they tore it down to decide they needed more parking. So anyway, go figure. Is there any sense there at all?
No.
You have to does reason have to be thrown out the window? Is that it?
You're discussing politics.
Yeah.
No reason at all.
Was it Mark Twain that says, suppose I was a politician, suppose I was an idiot? He said, wait a minute, now I'm repeating myself? Or?
That's about it.
And Will Rogers said that, I don't belong to any organized political party. I'm a Democrat. But he would kid everybody. That's the great wisdom that is in that humor. Supposedly Will Rogers, he was at some kind of a banquet one time when some local, I was a senator or what, went to speak, and the guy spoke for the longest time. And when he came down, when he was done, he says to something, he apologized. He says, I'm sorry, there was no clock on the wall. He says, well, hell, Senator, didn't you see that calendar over there? So, anyway. Well, we're just about getting close to the time. And we've done very well with us three. I think we had some interesting call-ins tonight.
Yep.
Yes, we did.
And we remember we had a Shannon Brown that was from the Lincoln Funeral Train, and you can their website is the 2015 LincolnFuneralTrain.com, and very interesting thing to look at. They could all use our help. I think they'd rather have 10,000 $5 contributions than $20,000 from some wealthy man or something. Wouldn't you say that would work out for everybody through a little money their way?
That is correct.
Just all we need is a lot of. You may not be able to give much, but you can throw them something.
Hey, we can buy a box of screws.
Whatever it takes. And the other one was Randy Bachman from the Great Midwest Train Show.
Mm-hmm.
Every month, DuPage Fairgrounds.
Yep, the DuPage County Fairgrounds.
And you can Google those too.
Mm-hmm.
Google.
And runs 9:30 to 3.
Okay, and
there's usually 5 buildings full of stuff.
So it's a week from Sunday out there this time.
That is correct.
And if I can talk my son-in-law into going out there, he wants to put up a big setup along the wall or something for the kids. So it might be a good place even to get some ideas. Maybe we'll make a contract.
Get some ideas and maybe pick up some stuff for
sure
at a reasonable cost.
And then you do run into people like who have little specialties, like helping you with things like that or building. So.
That is true.
And you won't.
And you'll always need good lubricating oil. And I know who's going to be manning the table for that.
Who? Anybody we know?
You just might.
Well, maybe
please look for me.
We'll see you there. Well, folks, once again, for Dave DeRushka, Brian Blue, and our absent members who are all on assignment, and John DeVitt, our what do I know?
Chief Electrical Engineer.
The big kahuna.
Yeah.
He's number one, numero uno.
Sparks.
El Supremo. Yeah. We want to thank you for listening. We'll be back next time in a couple of weeks.
And I actually want to thank the listeners for listening. And for putting up for us for 1 year. This is our anniversary show.
And it's something we lasted.
We should have brought some muffins or something.
Yes.
Time rolls along quickly when you're enjoying yourself, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Sure does. So anyway, on behalf of everyone here, let's wish you happy rails. Till next time.
All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Join us again next time as we take our railroads of the imagination on our continuing journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network and can be heard over this station, as well as the WindyCityHometown.com, where recordings of all our shows may be heard. Once again, all aboard! This is your announcer, Fireman Brian Valou. Thank you for listening. Oh yeah, the conductor as portrayed by Charlie Johnson. Struggling young actor still needing work.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on Jack-O-Lantern FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVitta Broadcast Center on Thursday, October the 30th, the year 2014. Chicago Junction was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVitta. Our audio engineer is James Rohde. Radio station manager is Kevin Zeflik. The executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Chicana. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Tuesday, October the 28th. Until next time, please be safe and thanks for listening.